Joey Logano was extremely upset after a recent race at Richmond. He was so angry that he couldn't hold his emotions when he got out of his car. What caused this anger was a move made by Austin Dillon on the last lap of the race. Logano was leading and looked sure to win, but Dillon made a move that many would call dirty. Dillon, the grandson of Richard Childress, drove his car into Logano's, pushing him into the wall. Logano lost his chance to win and couldn't even try to get back at Dillon because the race was over. Logano didn't hold back at his comments after the race. He called Dillon a piece of crap and said that Dillon has been a bad driver for his whole career.
He had no intentions to race. I beat him fair and square on the restart, and he just pulls a chicken shit move. He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career, and now he's going to be in the playoffs, and good for him, I guess.
Logano felt that he had won the race fair and square before Dillon ruined it for him.
Oh, when you get like that far back ahead, 3 to 4 car lengths ahead into 3, I didn't even back up the entry. I was like, I'll just wrap the bottom here, I'm good. And he just drives in so hard. Obviously, he didn't make the turn because he hit me, and then the 11 was going to win the race. So
the whole situation made Logano question what he should do next, because he couldn't just let it go. He even burned his tires in Dillon's pit lane after the race, which upset the officials. But Dillon, who was 4 car lengths behind, drove too hard into the turn. This aggressive move caused Dillon to bump into Logano's car, sending Logano into the wall. Dillon also hit another driver, Denny Hamlin, and pushed him into the wall too. Logano was very upset about how things played out, and he made it clear that Dillon had no intention of racing fairly. As the race was nearing its end, the drivers were pushing their cars to the limit to secure a victory. Entering turn 3 of the final lap, Dillon, who was several car lengths behind, made an aggressive move. He drove hard into the back of Joey Logano's car, sending Logano's number 22 car spinning into the outside wall. This move was unexpected and left Logano with no chance to recover, costing him what could have been a race win. The impact of Dillon's move did not end there. As Denny Hamlin attempted to pass Dillon on the inside lane while approaching the checkered flag, Dillon made contact with Hamlin's car too, sending Hamlin's number 11 car crashing hard into the outside wall. Dillon's aggressive driving allowed him to cross the finish line first, securing a win and, more importantly, a spot in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. But this victory did not come without controversy. Dillon's actions on the track drew significant ire from other drivers, fans, and even those within the garage. Many voiced their displeasure with the way Dillon raced, seeing his moves as reckless and unsportsmanlike. On the other hand, some defended Dillon's actions, arguing that he was simply doing whatever it took to secure a win and save his season, which had been less than stellar up to that point. Denny Hamlin, who also fell victim to Dillon's aggressive driving, shared Logano's frustration. Hamlin was particularly upset with NASCAR's lack of clear rules and enforcement when it comes to aggressive driving. He pointed out that Dillon's actions were a result of desperation, as Dillon was 32nd in points and needed a significant boost to make it into the playoffs.
Absolutely a line was crossed. It's an invisible line, and it's not defined. They have rules and provisions for stuff like this, but they never take action for it. And what happens is you see young guys coming up in the short track ranks seeing that, and they think it's fine. The record book won't care, right, about what happened. He's going to be credited with a win, but obviously he's just not going to go far because you've got to pay your dues back on stuff like that. But it's worth it because they jump 20 positions in points, and so I understand all that, and there's no ill will there. I get it. I just hate I was part of it.
Hamlin also mentioned the financial and physical toll the crash took. He suffered an injury to his shoulder from the impact and was frustrated by the damage done to his car, which he estimated was worth around $250,000. The wreck not only affected his chances in that race, but also had broader implications for his team and their resources. Joey Logano was leading the race and executed a restart perfectly. He was driving away from the pack when, in the last corner, things went wrong. Paul Wolfe described the situation as terrible. He felt that Joey did everything right, but then the situation turned into a mess.
I was terrible. I don't
we worked hard all night, put ourselves in position, worked the strategy the best we could with the option tires to have a shot at it. And Joey executed a restart perfectly, drove away, and then turned into a mess there in the last corner. Well, NASCAR's got to do something at some point. That's up to them. You have to ask them what they should do, but letting that go on is not right. No.
Chris Gabehart had a different view on what happened. He observed that Austin Dillon approached turn 3 much harder than any car could safely manage.
What it looked like was he drove into turn 3 way harder than any car could safely make the corner. His intent wasn't to make the corner, and he got in the back of 22, and they got into a mess, and got way up the hill, and 11 turned underneath of him off of 4 because we were at a speed where we could make the corner, and then clearly the 3 had regained control and right reared us. I've been racing professionally for 30 years now. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. That's what happened.
Adding to the controversy was the team radio communication, where someone told Dillon to wreck him as Hamlin was passing him. This instruction from Dillon's team only added fuel to the fire, making it clear that the incident was not just a mistake, but a deliberate act. The situation reminded many people of past incidents where NASCARs had to step in and penalize drivers for similar actions.
They've certainly set precedent over the last couple of years. You got Chase Elliott at Charlotte with Denny, right rear hook. You've got Bubba Wallace with Larson at Vegas, I think it was, right rear hook. You've got Carson Hosenbar in a truck race, right rear hook. They've penalized all those guys. And listen, NASCAR's in a tough spot. There's a lot on the line. Every one of these cup races, they've got to go through data, SMT data and video footage and spotter audio. I'm not going to get into specifics, but there's going to be plenty of data for them to find that I think will be pretty convincing that this was also an intentional right rear hook. For the integrity of the sport, if that's what it's deemed that it was, I don't see how you can let the wind stand. That just doesn't.
Tyler Reddick listened to Joey Logano's interview and agreed with what he said. Logano talked about how some moves on the track can be unbelievable. Reddick felt the same way, especially when it comes to something called right hooking.
I understand the first one, I guess, necessarily, on Joey trying to win the race. Man, I've been threatened to be suspended for months for right hooking people, and they've always taken a pretty hard stand on that. So racing hard for the win is one thing. Just plainly right hooking somebody is another. I know sounds pretty biased coming from me about my boss, but if I was in his spot, I'd be pretty upset about it too. They put so much emphasis on winning races, people are going to lose their minds and just do ridiculous stuff. So I'm happy for his team. A lot of great people on his team. That was pretty crazy.
Bubba Wallace also shared his thoughts. He talked about how strange it is that you can dump someone, which means spinning them out, and right rear them, which is hitting the back of the car without getting into serious trouble. Richard Childress said he knew Dillon would do whatever it took to win. Childress explained that when a driver is in a position to win, they get hungry for victory. Elton Sawyer, a top NASCAR official, explained that racing has always involved some contact between cars. He talked about how people often ask where the line is when it comes to what is acceptable in racing. Sawyer said that the last lap of the race was very close to this line. So what do you think about this? Comment down your thoughts right now. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button.